Hello and welcome. This is our final section in Chapter 3 before the test, and we're going to talk about sets, set notation, and what we can do with sets. Our first question is, what's a set? Well, a set is a collection of elements. You could think about it as numbers in a collection, letters in a collection, pretty much any symbol that you can draw, you can place it in a set. Now they're all separated by commas so that you can tell where one element starts and where another element ends. And they also have these curly brackets around them. So make sure that every time you're working with sets, you're including those curly brackets around it. It's just notation so that we know this whole object is a set. Now there are some things that are unique to sets. One is that there's no repeats in a set. Now if you were just to list numbers, I mean you can repeat numbers if you want, but in a set there's no repeats, everything is unique. So this would be an example of a bad set. Let's say I were to take my curly brackets and I were to write 2, 4, 6, 2, 8. Well, because my 2 has shown up more than once, that's what makes it bad. So you can only write one element once in a set. Also, the order of your set has no impact on it. So what that means is there's lots of ways that a set can be equal to itself, and there's lots of ways to represent it that are really just the same. So for instance, this set right here, I could reorder the letters. I could say A and then T and then Y and then G. Notice the A stayed first, but the T, the Y, and the G moved around, and that's all right. So in a set, order of the elements doesn't matter. Now when you're working with numbers, it's going to just be easier to see patterns if you write them from least to greatest or from greatest to least, but in the end it doesn't matter, it doesn't change what it is, but sometimes it's just easier to read. So we're going to talk a little bit more about some special sets. Now in particular there's a set called the empty set, and we're going to use that in a little bit. The empty set is the set with no elements inside it. Now that doesn't mean I'm putting a 0 in here, it means that it's blank, it's void, there's nothing inside there. So you can just draw the empty set with brackets with nothing inside, or you can use the 0 with a little slash there, which is just saying the empty set. Either one of these notations is available to you. And we also have the idea of subsets. Now a subset is a smaller collection from a larger collection. So let's say our big set, was the set of all letters. So A, B, C, D, dot, 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 and then you get all the way down to X, Y, and Z. So this is our set of the alphabet. Notice I just use the dot, dot, dot to say it continues. You're allowed to do that with sets. If I wanted to take a subset of it, there's a lot of ways I could do it. I could say, you know what, I just want to pull 2 letters. I just want to pull A and D. That would be one subset. Or I could pull, 5 letters. I could say M, X, A, B, and then like Q. So I can take as many elements from my big set as I want to create a subset. Now some interesting spin-off questions are, how many subsets are there that have 2 elements? Or how many subsets are there that have 5 elements? Depending on the number of elements that you're choosing and depending on the number of elements in your original big set, that's going to change. So in some future questions I might ask you, hey, name me 3 subsets that have 4 elements in them. And I'm just looking to see, do you understand the idea of what a subset is, what a sub-collection of elements would be. The most important 2 ideas to take away from sets are the ideas of intersection and union. Let's read through the definition of intersection. The intersection of 2 sets is the set of the elements that they share. In other words, it's the elements that they have in common. So you can look between 2, 3, 4 sets and see if they have any numbers, any elements in common. If they do, that answer will be a part of your intersection. And we write intersection in notation with this little hill. It's kind of like an upside down U. So this is saying A intersect B. Now we're going to try out our skills trying to find what's the intersection of sets A and B, what's the intersection of sets B and C, and what's the intersection of sets C and A. Now remember when you answer these that you're writing it within your curly brackets, that you're using your set notation. So give this a shot and we'll fill them in as we go. Okay, I hope you paused the video by now. We should know that that's a good thing to do so we can test it out on our own and check our work. So A and B, let's see. A has a 2, does B have a 2? Yep, 2's in there. A has a 5, does this one have a 5? Nope. A has a 6, B has a 6? Yep. And does it have an 8? No. Does it have a 9? Yes. So the three elements in the intersection of A and B would be 2, 6, 9, all in those brackets. Now let's go ahead and try and find the intersection between B and C. B doesn't have a 1, B doesn't have a 2. B and C both have 4. Here we go. Let's see, C doesn't have a 6, and B has a 9, C doesn't have a 9. So notice I'm only checking one set and seeing if the other one has it. That's because if it's not in one set, we don't need to check the other one. So it has to be in both automatically. And finally, let's see. C intersect A. So what's in C? We got a 0, no 0 in A. We got a 3, no 3 in there. 4, no 4 in there. 7, no 7, and a 10. So again, there would be two ways to write this. You'd say, they don't share anything, it's empty. Or you could write the little 0 with the slash through it, indicating that there's no overlap whatsoever between C and A. Our second operation that we can use with sets is called union. And union is the merging of two sets. So you're going to take elements from one, elements from the other, and group them together in their own set. What you want to watch out for is when you're putting the two sets together that you don't write a number more than once. Remember, our sets are not allowed to have repeat numbers out here. So again, we're going to practice our union, which is written like this, A union B, U for union, to merge our two sets. But remember, if you've already put a number in and you're going to put it in again, don't. We're only allowed to write a number once. So pause the video and try these on your own real fast, and we'll go over the answers. Okay, now hopefully you've submitted your answers to what all these unions are, and we're going to go over them one at a time. So if I were to merge A and B, that means I'm looking to stick all of A in this set, and I'm going to fill it in the rest for B. Let's see. Well, I have a 1 that I need to include in here, but I already have the 2. It's right here from A. I need to include this 4, but I already have that 6, and I already have that 9. So this would be A union B. I've merged both sets of numbers together, but I didn't write a number if I already had it. So I looked back. If I already had it, I didn't write it. B union C. So I'm going to erase that work right there so we can start off clean again. Alright, so if I'm unioning B and C, I'm going to put all of my first set in there. So here goes all of B. And we're going to look to see what we don't have. 0, don't have it, so let's include it. 3, don't have it. There we go. 4, I do have it, so I don't need to worry about it. 7, don't have it. And 10, don't have it. So for B union C, there was one number I already had, so I didn't include it when I moved both together. And finally, C union A. Let's go ahead and get rid of that right there. Okay. So if I'm merging C and A, that means I'm going to put all of C in there. And let's look to see what we were missing in A. So in A, we have a 2. I need that. Don't have it yet. In A, I have a 5. Oh, need that too. A, I have a 6, I need it, and A, I have an 8, also need it, and in A, I have a 9, so I also needed it. So as you can see in our final example, there weren't any numbers that they shared, so I just put everything from C and A together in our union. There's a few other topics in this section. Check it out in the next video.